Hello, guys. It's just been one of those days for me, or I should actually say one of those months. This past 30 days have just not been very fortunate for me. Where do I start? Well, first off, the Excursion has a bad torque converter seal on it, I'm pretty sure. So now I got to drop the transmission out of that thing and put a new torque converter seal in it. A bunch of other stuff. I got a few gaskets and stuff under here. There's a new filter there for that. And my wife actually just left for work. Her truck, the air conditioning just quit working on that thing, and I'm pretty sure it's a bad compressor. If you look around the clutch, you can see where it almost looks like molten rubber or molten something has slung out from the clutch. So it doesn't look like it's the belt. The belt looks perfectly fine, so I'm thinking it's a bad clutch on the compressor. So now I got to do that. I've got my brother's car here, and it has a coolant leak, a cracked windshield, and a whole bunch of other stuff that needs to be done to it. And it's just one thing after another. Rearranging the garage here, some changes at work. So my big box is back at work now, so I went out and bought that and a few other things. And last night, thinking, you know what, I'm gonna hit the sack, I'm gonna head to bed here, finally wrap things up for the night, and nope. Guess Mother Nature or Father God or whoever it is these days that controls the weather decided that I didn't need that sleep last night, and the home air conditioning quit working. So it's just been one freaking thing right after the other. But anyways, fingers crossed, hopefully this is going to be an easy fix. For those of you who are not familiar with your home AC system, this is a very, very common problem. As you can see, the top of this, what is called the capacitor, is kind of mushroom shaped. That's usually a pretty reliable sign that the capacitor has gone bad. The problem we had while our air conditioning wasn't working was both the compressor and the fan outside, I'll show you this here in a little bit, were not running. So I go out there and I look at it, and the fan motor is super hot and the compressor is super hot, and there's a humming noise coming from it. So usually what that means is it's getting power. However, it hasn't been jump started, so to speak, with this capacitor. What this capacitor does is provides a boost of power to the motor and the compressor to get it running. Once it's running, it'll run on its own. It's kind of like your car. This is kind of like a starter for an engine. It requires this to actually get it started and get it running. Once it's running, the engine will run on its own. Once the electric motors and the compressor or whatever are running, they don't need this. This just provides a boost. So anyway, my uncle was very kind enough to help me late last night and told me, he said this capacitor is for sure bad. I tested it with a meter here. More on that later on how that works. But here's the new one. So I'm hoping this works out all right. But just to give you an idea of how to check these out, first things first, obviously you want to be safe. Take a screwdriver, something with an insulated handle, and you want to lay them across the terminals here to discharge the capacitor. This is a 230 volt system. This could give you the shock of a lifetime. That could even kill you. So you want to be very, very careful with these. Now that we've got them discharged, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ohm meter here, and we're going to test across the good and the bad one here, and I'll show you the difference. So what you have is you have your common here. The common is the one with the most prongs. That's where the charging voltage, so to speak, is supplied. That charges up the capacitor. The fan is what it is. That provides a boost for your fan. And then they have Herm over here, which is for the compressor. Now, what you want to do is you want to test the resistance. Usually set it on like your 40k ohms or something like that, however you want to measure it. Some meters are completely auto, but in this case, here's what I have. Now, a good capacitor should show some resistance. It should climb and climb and climb and climb as it's charging the capacitor, so to speak. And I'm just going to discharge that just to make sure. So it should climb and climb and climb as it charges it. And then once it's fully charged, the meter should read OL. So let's see what happens here. So see how that climbed like that? When I touched these two together, it showed me a little bit of resistance, and then it charged. The little bar went all the way up to the top here, and then it stopped. That's how a good capacitor should work. Now we're going to go over to the other one here, this old capacitor, the one that's bad, and as you can see, when I touch the leads together, nothing happens. That's usually a sign of a bad capacitor. Now, the funny thing was, when I tested this bad capacitor earlier, it was actually showing constant, very low resistance, which usually means they're shorted internally. You can also check to see if they're shorted to the body of the capacitor here. Neither of these are in this case, but that can also be a failure point. But you saw how this one charged up, so to speak. The resistance value climbed up to OL, which means it charged it up, and then it's good. Nothing happened with this old one. So it's not taking a charge, it can't provide the boost, and can't start the motor or the compressor. So we're gonna go throw this new one in here and see if that fixes our problem. Now, when I bought the house that my wife and I are living at right now, I bought a newer one. It was built in 2009 because I didn't want to have to do anything to it. But I guess I should still have maintained it. And I mean, as you can see, it's definitely got a lot of debris up here. And then you look around back here, that side's really clogged. So it's probably my fault for not maintaining it, not cleaning it properly. However, I do have to say this. The Tweedledees and Tweedledums who built this house, I don't know why. I shouldn't call them that. I couldn't build a house. But anyway, I don't know why they put the dryer vent right here. Because, I mean, yes, the lint filter in the dryer catches most of it, but that little bit that still gets out over time, it just blows it right out here, right onto the AC machine that's usually running in a hot summer day like this. It's September and it's still 97 degrees with 1,000% humidity. Feels like I'm about to drown in my own sweat here. But anyway, it blows all that stuff out and the AC machine just sucks it up and it clogs it up pretty quickly. So kind of a dumb design there. I've thought about rerouting it, but it's just one more thing I don't have time for. I'd rather just clean this out and maintain it a little bit better. And anyway, so then I get the hose over there. We're going to clean this thing out, throw the new capacitor in, fingers crossed that fixes it, and then we'll have our home AC working again. So now, just to give you guys an idea of how clogged this really was, here's a clean side here. You can see the water comes through like that. It's good. You go over here to this side that's really packed, and nothing, hardly anything. It is really clogged up. So we're going to keep cleaning it out, and this should operate a lot more efficiently. Ooh-wee, got a little bit warm in here, 86. Now I've got everything wired up out there, should be good to go. All I need to do is put the disconnect back in. Golly, my camera does not want to focus. How about a good lens cleaning with an old workshop, huh? Oh, that just made it worse. Alright, so we got this AC unit looking like new. I leveled it out a little bit, cleaned everything out, cleaned the fins really good, the fan, the motor spins well, everything looks perfect. It looks really good. Should be a lot more efficient now. All we have to do is put the disconnect back in, and this should come to life, hopefully. Here's how I got it hooked up. There's the compressor, the fan, the common, and you got your relay there. All this other good stuff, excess wires there wrapped up. We should be good to go. So we're going to put that little disconnect back in here. Yeah, look at that. Hallelujah. At last, cold air. Well, this just flows a lot better too. I can already tell a difference. Now, one last thing you want to do for optimal efficiency is check your little filter here. As you can see, this one isn't very dirty at all. You can still see light through it easily. It's fairly new. I got one left over there. So I'm not going to replace it right now. It's still got some life to it. But that's another thing you can do to optimize the efficiency. Yeah, we're making progress slowly but surely. This is about a half hour into it, but not too bad. At least we have nice cold air coming out of the vents now. So I'm drenched in sweat, but the basement's finally cooling down. I switched from car work to a little bit of home repair work here. And I want to make sure that when you guys are working with this stuff, please remember that it's high voltage. If you have 220 like we have here at this house, and even 110 can really hurt you. So just be very, very careful. You're not working with 12 volt systems like you are on cars where you can touch both the positive and the negative and not feel a thing. This stuff can really hurt you or even kill you if you're not careful. So always, always, always throw the circuit breaker, turn it off, pull the disconnect like you saw out in the box out there, and just make sure that you double check for voltage before you touch anything. As always, be safe. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, even though it was about home AC and not car AC. And I'll see you guys in the next video, hopefully with some car work this time. No more house problems.